Welcome to Old World Wanderings, Episode 10, the Ashtabula County Courthouse. My wife and I were taking a trip. We were buying a coffee table in Ashtabula County, Jefferson County, Pennsylvania. And since I've started on this journey with the old world, anytime we go to a small town, I automatically Google the courthouse. And Ashtabula County, Ohio is in the middle of nowhere. This building was said to be built in 1850. It doesn't give a start date or end date. There are no construction photos, no dedication date, no ribbon cutting, nothing. Just all pictures of a completed courthouse, some in black and white, some from a long time ago. There's the bell that used to be in the bell tower. I'm not gonna lie, I went up and I gave it a ding. It still works. They didn't silence it. So in Ashtabula in 1850, the population was roughly 28,767. Population was big because of the oil boom that was happening in Pennsylvania around the time, and the manufacturing boom that was happening in Ashtabula County, Ohio. They still had the time, the effort, and the skilled laborers to build this in 1850. So we drive in Ashtabula. I look for the courthouse, and this is what I find. This is a massive building. I did go inside. I had planned on going inside because I know the courthouses are public, and I was going to go inside and see if I could show any of the ornate detail, but unfortunately they have renovated the inside of this building and it is modern. It's all drywall and drop ceilings, and all the ornateness is gone. It looks like a modern office building on the inside. There's nothing to see. So everything about this building is on the outside. So it's a giant stone structure built in 1850. Now if you go to the Wikipedia, or if you go to the mainstream narrative of this building, you're going to find that the date is different, but there's actually a modernized courthouse that's in Ashtabula. Anytime you look up the Ashtabula County Courthouse, they're going to show you the date, and it was built in like the 1970s or late 1960s. And you can see the buildings around the courthouse. I believe that these buildings were the centerpiece of what was a square, a big square of these old buildings. So you have the big building in the center, almost like I know it's going to sound silly, but almost like a kingdom. Everything leading up to the big building in the center, and then you got the surrounding adjacent buildings where all the people would live, or could be shops. I have no idea what happened in the old world, but something was happening. I think this is a building that was found again after the reset. Either settlers were brought here and said, hey, you need to settle this area, you're going to settle around this building, or when settlers were brought back after the reset, they found this building and said, this looks like a pretty good place to settle. We got all these buildings, we got all this stuff pre-made. There's a building across the street from it. I forgot to get the name of it. But this all used to be one giant complex. And this building actually is older than the courthouse itself. You can see the big brick. You can see the big stone. I almost went down. I almost fell right here. It's like a slippery patch on the sidewalk. I don't know if it's going to show in the... Yeah, there it is. Yeah, there's like a mud patch, and I almost broke my back falling. But yeah, there's another big building right across the street. Or I'm sorry, right across the sidewalk from it. And the strange things about these small towns, there's always other anomalies. So we're just going to kind of walk around this, look at the ornate detail, the excellent sculpting, and something that I'm also looking into. I've done videos on architects and how they've built so many of these buildings, some over 100 of these buildings during their career. But something that I've noticed in the narrative is that they never ever really give credit to the sculptors, the people that have to sculpt the shapes. You can make bricks, you can make stones, rectangles, squares. I get that, but the ornate sculpting of the statues and the pillars, and they never talk about who that is, because the stone cutters, they're not sculpting these ornate pillars. They're not sculpting the Virgin Marys that you see on these, and the Jesus Christs on these churches. All the angels and all the things there. So why don't they ever credit the sculptors that are putting in? I can't imagine the amount of time that they're putting in, the time and effort that they're putting in using hammers and chisels in the 1850s. That's a law office, big law office. This is like Law Central, they call it, in Ashtabula. But you can see the ugly metal steps on it, but it's just a giant building. But yeah, they never talk about the sculptors. Who are the sculptors that are sculpting all these? Who are these artists? Like, I don't know a single sculptor. I don't know one person that can sculpt a photorealistic thing out of stone with a hammer and chisel anywhere in my life. But apparently in the 1850s, they were everywhere, and they were sculpting all these amazing things all over the United States, all over Europe, Canada, Mexico, South America. Like it's insanity. This building is gigantic. It's massive. But again, we're in a small town, and these small towns all have these. I got more coming. Can't wait. I got more sculptors coming. I got more architects coming. Yeah, I just thought, but this is what you run into, and we drive past them all the time, and we're just like, it's just, you know, it's the courthouse, and we don't even bat an eye at it. But if that was a pyramid, basically it is. Like, I know it sounds weird, but it's gigantic. It is humongous. That was supposed to be a panoramic shot. Sorry about that. A little statue out front, but yeah, this is Ashtabula, Ohio, tiny little town. Look at this. There's nothing here. Nothing, but yet they got this gigantic, unimaginably massive structure stuck right in the middle because they needed a courthouse this big. Next, and I just happened to look down the street, saw this. This is St. Joseph Calisthenics Catholic Church. They said that the original church was destroyed by fire in like the 1860s or something, and they built this one in 1924. 1924 they built this church. And there is no construction photos, no ribbon cutting, no groundbreaking, no dedication photos. There is no other photo of this church other than when it's completed. Seems really weird, especially in the 20s. And that's not Jesus. There's like a Puritan guy with a round hat in his hands. If somebody knows, could explain who that guy is in that picture. But again, who's sculpting all this? Look at the sculpting. And it's not mentioned. There's no mention in the sculptor. I can't find who sculpted all these ornate stone decorations that go on. Look at that door. Look at how amazing that is. Built in 1924, this tiny little cafe, and it's not a big church. It's not very big at all. But again, this is right down the street from the courthouse. Again, these are in everyone's small towns. And then you gotta go look across the street. You got castle. Small town. There's the castle. Another church. There's a castle right across the street. It's right down. There's the cornerstone for St. Joseph, 1924. Not sure if I believe that. That looks like new brick. That doesn't look like part of the original structure. And then the one across the street, the castle, is the First Congregational United Church of Christ. I can't find any information online about this church. I can if I type in the name in Wikipedia, it shows me like a dozen different churches, but never this one. For some reason, this castle doesn't have a Wikipedia. Doesn't have a name, doesn't have a construction date, no photos, nothing. It's just this giant church that people go to. I mean, you can see the sign out front. Sign's modern, sign's new. There are people coming to this church on a weekly basis to worship. I have no idea where it's from. So look at that castle. It's really cool. Small towns. They hold these amazing buildings. Yeah, look, you can see the giant stonework at the bottom. You can see, and it looks like this one. I didn't see much flood damage on the other buildings, but this one, I don't know. It's got like a buried. You'll see. I'm pointing to it. Gonna walk up to it. This is old world wanderings, man. This is what we do. You know, I'm just trying to keep the narrative going, trying to open people's eyes to what you see on a daily basis. You don't even realize all the magic and the mystery and the majesty of these buildings and what our past held. But I appreciate it if you would throw me a follow, throw me a like, repost this video. Let's get as much of this information out there as we possibly can. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll talk to you on our next wandering. Take care.